You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, brace yourselves for the overreaction. It's the Friday edition Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365, Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. Go ahead.
Why do you think I'm going to overreact?
You guys,
underreact to everything.
that. You guys are in a sour mood, man. The TLN group chat is on suey watch right now.
They play good, and you're like, they're shit. And then they play poorly, and you're like, nothing matters. I don't know. That's a disappointing one. I don't care how you spin it. That's disappointing, man. This team just seems to not find their game when it matters. That is a rock hard, steady, for sure pattern with this group, and it's getting frustrating. It's already long past frustrating. That was one that you need to take advantage of, and they had next to nothing.
Fair enough. Lots to sift through over this game, this podcast as well. We're going to play Take It or Leaf It once again, post-deadline edition. The Battle of Ontario, round 3 of 3 coming up on Saturday night. Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. And you know, it's that time of year as well, Rosie, where I was in the scrums last night post-game, and media members are like checking their apps to check the scores. Like, Tampa lost in a shootout. Michkov, the winner. Boston lost to Ottawa. Like, we're in scoreboard watching mode here.
Oh, it's standing watching time for sure. Like we talked about yesterday, it's a tight divisions all over the place, and the wild cards are all up for grabs, and nobody knows who's playing anybody in the playoffs, which it's pretty early for that, but usually it's kind of, it's been in line for months, and it's kind of been that way the whole season. You kind of know where teams are sitting and how it's going to shake out, and it just doesn't seem to be the case this year. And that's from the top down in a lot of situations, including the Atlantic. So I think there's going to be a lot of that checking every night on who got points and who didn't.
The Ottawa Senators, I tell you, Saturday night's opponent on fire right now, and they're getting the goaltending. I think that's been a big story as well. Taking nothing away from Anthony Stolarz. Like, I'm not looking at that game and being like they lost that game, but they're not getting the saves they did even a couple weeks back. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with it. You could argue that they were getting a lot of points throughout the season on the backs of their goaltenders, and lots of good teams do that. I don't think that's a bad sign by any stretch, but you gotta be well-rounded to win a lot of games consistently. You're going to get your goaltender to bail you out sometimes. Sometimes you're going to have big shutdown D. Sometimes your studs are going to go off and win you the game. Sometimes you're going to get depth to get you those big goals. You need a little bit of everything. And yeah, they didn't have the goaltending. Would you say since Four Nations? There's been a little bit where it's just kind of like, throughout the season they would have had that one and maybe the next one, and little opportunities like that kind of slip by. But again, you can't rely on your goaltender to bail you out constantly. You need a well-rounded team, which these guys just don't seem to have the pieces that you need on the big nights when you need them. And what's the biggest pieces of this team? What's the biggest factor, the biggest identity? All the money, it's at the big boys. And I don't know where the hell Austin Matthews thought he was last night. It's becoming a stone cold pattern.
Hold your thoughts. We're going to get into all of that. Like, I know we're just like a little.
Will we, or will you just say nothing matters till the playoff? Wake me up in the playoff.
We're going to, but man, it is like scorched earth today on a Friday, March 14th. I'm feeling good about St. Patty's, and they got 2 more against Florida, but they lose this game. It is over. It is absolutely over. Social media is losing their heads. They're doubting this team. It is so Toronto. They'll win Saturday night against Ottawa. People will be back aboard, including producer Vic, who's on a ledge right now.
Well, it's so Toronto. It's so Toronto as far as the fans' reaction, but like, I've always wanted to be Mr. Positive, and I often am. But I mean, when they've seen this movie before, it's identical. It's this, that was a playoff game against the rivals, and there's reason that they should have gotten the win with them having so many important pieces out, and you get Tanev back in, and it's just like, you should win that game. If you believe in this team, you should win that game. You should win it. You should find a way to win it. And they just found a way to do just enough to lose. And that is a movie so many people have seen before. So it's like, that is so Toronto. I agree. But with the group, with the team, that is so Toronto. It's beyond frustrating. So I'm not going scorched earth, but I get why people are.
Yeah. Definitely seen that ending before, that's for sure. At the Leafs Nation 401 here on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm sure Rosie's going to blow up in mere seconds here. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Roll Up to Win is back at Tim Hortons, and that means you could win millions of amazing prizes with just a swipe of a thumb. Imagine turning your routine Tim's run into an unforgettable vacation with Sell-Off Vacations, a $1,000 Rakuten cash prize, or an all-new, all-electric 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz. You only have until March 23rd, so open up that Tim's app and get rolling. Play Roll Up to Win today. Rules apply. Canada only. No purchase necessary. Visit the Tim's app for details. Leafs 2, Panthers 3. I don't know why I read that way, but a 4-3 win for the Panthers. Where do you want to start? I am opening the floor to Jay Rosehill on today's podcast.
Did you just say 2-3 like my wife?
Yeah.
I was like,
I don't know, because I'm always like
2-4.
yeah. Oh, dude, that gets me. That is like my killer gripe in life when somebody tells you a score. Like I remember in broadcast school happened a couple times where, we're doing like fake media casts and people say the score and they give the losing team first, and I would lose my mind, but I clearly just did it right there. I'm giving you the floor. There's a lot to go through. I think there's a lot of positives, a lot of negatives, but where do you want to start?
Well, we can't go scorched earth, and we can't say that was.
No, you can go. You're the guy. You're the guy who said we don't fight enough. So let's fight today. I'm in a fighting mood like Max Domi last night.
Well, it's just the bottom. I mean, a lot of positives. You score that first goal, and you get off. Scoring the first goal, I think the stats are like you win 80% of the time or something like that. So to start well and get on the board first just puts you in the driver's seat. That's great. To have Domi step up, I mean, that's the way we want that guy to play every game, like finishing hits, running a guy. You don't like it, spring load your gloves, shit kick that guy. And then that just gets you on such a high to start a game off well and to do good things. It's like, oh, baby, it's my night. And you just go out there and you just look for opportunities. Boom, he buries as well. A huge goal. Like, what a night for him. You got guys going, but, Stoli was fine. You can't point at anything that he did. To have Tanev back, I thought that would reverberate through the lineup. But again, at the end of the day, you're 0 for 3 on the power play with just nothing to show for it. And I mean, you've built this team around those big players winning you, like getting the job done and being the difference makers. Like there's a lot of weight on their shoulders because you've put it on their shoulders by not spreading it out a little bit more. You give a handful of players all the money, and it's a cap world. Though that's who has to win you the games. And like Austin's becoming a story without question. I'm sorry, I know what he's done in the past, but it doesn't matter really what he's done. Even what he did in the past didn't get you anywhere. So where are you going to go with this guy being a ghost out there? Like when he gets chances, he used to get nothing. He used to have no time, no space, a bobbling puck off balance, and he'd bury it. Now he gets grade A opportunities and he double clutches it. He fans on it. He wraps the glass. He hits the chest. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Everyone's saying he's injured. Well, then why are you playing if you're injured? It's just a game that you had to win, and they just didn't. And every time you think they're going to step up and go, we're here, we're different, we're ready, they do what they have done in the past. And that's why this whole Leafs Nation is so down this morning, because they wanted them to kind of prove and give them reason to be like, I told you these guys were different. Here we go, Florida. That was a big game in the standings. We want to solidify ourselves in the Atlantic. Nope, and nope.
The Matthews thing is the big one for me, clearly, where he's missing that pop. He's missing that pep. I had this discussion in the press box last night where it's like, and I understand he scored 69 times last year, but every game he was dangerous. I think you can count the amount of games he has been actually dangerous this season on on one hand. Like it, yeah. You don't notice him out there. And that's really, really concerning for a guy. You pay that much money. He's your captain. He's been behind all season long. It's been really bizarre to watch it unfold, because you're so right. If he's hurt, why is he playing right now? These are meaningless games, in my opinion.
I know it's just like you try to pinpoint what it is. It's like he's kind of like pulling you know, dumbbells around on his back. Like he's just not quite there. He doesn't have he's got something weighing on him, something holding him back. I don't know if it's an injury or I don't know what it is. I
Yeah.
don't really want to speculate. Everyone seems to think that he's hurt, but he's been, like you said, he's been like that all year long. And for how dynamic he has been in the past and what we know his ceiling is and what he's capable of, it's just not even close. It's really not. Like he would be if you had his best last night, that game would have been won or gone into overtime at least or something of that factor, but it didn't. He just lose in regulation because he didn't do anything in the game. I'm not saying he has to go win every game for us, but he hasn't really won many of them at all. Like you said, it's kind of fair to say, I think I can count on one hand where he just looked dynamic. Like what other guys that are the franchise players of their team can say that? Not very many. They all are very dynamic, more often than not. So it's very concerning that he's not doing a whole hell of a lot out there. Mitch has been phenomenal since the Four Nations, but in the big game against the Panthers, where you can, get that's such important points in the standings, he's just not really there. Their power plays back to being garbage, even though we mentioned it's been quite good since the Four Nations. Like, I'm not dogging on the team. I have believed in them all year long. I'm not saying I don't anymore, but it's just like, and they knew how big that game that was. They knew it. They all said it beforehand. This is a huge game. It's a playoff thing. It's about our mental toughness, and it's just a day late and a dollar short all the time, man. People want this team and this group to give them a reason to really believe in them this year, and they're just not doing that.
It always seems like the same story. You're right. Where I thought the start of that game was impeccable. That building was going. The Leafs score on the 1T there, Nylander to Tavares. The building is rocking. The crowd is cheering, and the team's fired up. The forecheck. Then we'll get into the whole Domi thing, and then just the response by the Panthers. And I honestly thought the Jay Rosehill turning point in that game was that bullshit call on Oliver Ekman-Larsson after Bennett just fucking grinding away in the crease. And that's and again, I've mentioned this multiple times in this podcast. I'm not the guy who rags on the officials, but know the place. It's the Leafs and the Panthers. It's March. We're getting ready for the playoffs. And you called that bullshit punch on a guy who played for that team last year. It was a love tap. If Oliver Ekman-Larsson wanted to punch that guy, he'd be down on the floor. It was insanity to me. It was a shit call, man. And then, of course, they're going to score on that power play.
Oh, of course. I feel like Bennett single-handedly won that game.
Oh, he's so good, man.
Like, how do you let one guy beat you when they're missing the Tchucks? I think Marchand's going to make a difference in there on the back end, Ekblad, and it's not like Bobber goalied us or anything like that. Like, Jesus, man, the one guy beat all of you. It's just it's just so Florida Panthers, right? They just find a way to win. But it pissed me off. They were all over Stoli like that. Oh, I'm tripping. Like, oh, I'm in it. Like, after 3 and 4 times, the ref should be like, I know what you're doing. I'm not dumb, and I'm not going to stand for it. And there's going to be a reaction. I mean, a blatant, like, fully extended arm punch to the face, very risky. It's easy to have the arm go up there, but I mean, he chopped him back on the laces. He could have like sold that, and it would have been probably even up, but he didn't, which to his credit, fine. But yeah, of course they score on that, and that's the difference in the game. End of story.
Yeah.
You miss a guy, you don't pick him up. That's the difference. It's those details that come back to get you. But they buried 2 power play goals.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our chances too. It's not like it was 3-0 on the power plays. We got 3 looks at it, not a 1. And that's clearly the difference in the game. It's just those little things that add up, man. And you let one guy come in and through one way or another, just single-handedly beat you. It's just not a good sign, man. Like, you got to be in the driver's seat. You put yourself in the driver's seat. You mentioned the start. Like, that should be enough to ride all the way through.
Yeah.
Did they let it off after that? That didn't really seem like it. But every time I just keep dissecting the game and what I saw, it just comes down to, well, there were opportunities for XYZ, one of those guys, to do the thing they do, and they just didn't. And yeah, they did before. And yeah, they did against Buffalo. And yeah, they did against Chicago. Great. Oh, great. But the ones that matter, they fall short, and it's getting tiresome.
And I know Donnie Does Dishes is chirping me in the chat, bringing up the refs. I'm not blaming the refs for at least losing this game, but I think it disrupted the flow of the hockey game. And I think you can speak more to that. Even the Panthers got a ticky-tack after the whistle call. Just let them go at it, man. These are hated rivals. That's how you build a rivalry. And everything that preceded the Ekman-Larson penalty, I thought was a joke. Like, accidentally on purpose, that is the capital of the Florida Panthers. That's what they do on a nightly basis. Like AJ fucking Greer last night was in the domes of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Think about that, dude. He was at Stolar's, he was at the D, and because they set a precedence where they're going to call that bullshit on OEL, they can't do anything to AJ Greer last night.
Yeah, it's you know they're going to do that accidentally on purpose stuff. Oh, I thought I saw the puck. No, you're just jabbing away
It's
at
the
our
Brad
star
Marchand
goalie.
special, man.
To me, if that's like the second time that happens where you realize that's what you're doing, an AJ Greer, like, and whoever, I don't care who it is. It could be OEL, it could be anybody. You grab that and you just start feeding him his goddamn lunch with your glove on, like, just make him hurt. Oh, 2 minutes for roughing, fine. But a little ticky tack, little shot. It's kind of reactionary, like, oh, I know I'm supposed to, like, take control and set a precedent. You do not screw around like that in our crease, or you're gonna pay out. We will gladly kill off a 2-minute. But it's kind of like they let him do it and then kind of half-heartedly say, hey, you're not supposed to do that, and then you take a 2-minute anyway, like, God. And then they just make you pay on the power play. Like, it's a joke. They're in complete control. Let's get in their goalie's face. They won't really know what to do. They'll pretend like they do. They'll take a penalty and we'll bury, and that'll be the difference in the game. Thanks for coming. Like, fuck, man. It's just they just don't seem like they're in control very much. And I know that it's hard to do in Toronto. I came on this pod and started this whole thing saying, the heat they take, you don't know, and it contributes to it, how big this market is and how big their fan base is and how annoyed their fan base is. It makes it so hard to perform. But whether it's the chicken or the egg, it doesn't really matter. You're there, you got to do it like you're a pro. Fuck, man. It's like a goddamn, you put that jersey on and it's just a recipe for just being a little bit short of success.
Edward Lee writes in, these guys sound like the kid who runs to the teacher to tell. And just to cap on the OEL conversation, the best is that Samoskevich right away, taps him back with a slash. They only call OEL. It's like, if you're going to call the punch, call the slash. And I hate when they grab one single guy out of the scrum and say, hey, you're our guy. You're our point. And they bring him to the box and the power play ensues. And again, Sam Bennett was a monster story in that game at the Leafs Nation 4-1 here on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's talk about a positive. That could have been Max Domi's best game as a Toronto Maple Leaf. He lit up Carter Verhaeghe. Then he just beat the wheels off of Nate Schmidt. And he scores a goal, Rosie.
You don't get much better than that. I mean, that's dream scenario for like a third line guy. Be physical, stand up for yourself. They want to play any way you're willing. I do not care what you do. If your head is down, I'm going to bury you. If you don't like it, I'm going to pump you. And guess what else? I work my bag off and take advantage of my opportunities. I can put the puck in the net and make plays as well. I mean, that is third line hockey. And, you get your cookies once in a while, but the main thing that you take care of and make sure happens every single night is your work ethic, your intensity, your physicality. It's got to be there. And I've been waiting for Domi to do this forever. Like, he's been snake bitten. He's had a monkey on his back. He's been in a rut. He's been in a slump. Fine. There's all kinds of other things that you can do to jump off the page that doesn't show up on the score sheet that people appreciate, that's effective in the game. And it's that kind of stuff before he scored that goal. You don't have to fight all the time. I'm not saying getting 10 fights a year, but if you play on edge, they'll come to you, right? You bury guys like that because you're looking for it and you're running for it. You're not just swooping and stick checking. You go straight through that prick. You don't like it? Fine, I'll fight tonight. I don't give a rip. I don't care. I'm doing this all night. You can't stop me. I am a machine. God, that's hard to play against. And that's what he has to do. And it was unreal to see. And then the cherry on the top is beating Bobber from top of the circles. Like, when it rains, it pours, man. It's unreal to see him. I hope his confidence is sky high. It seemed like it was at the end when he was interviewed there. It's a great sign for him because he needs to be a factor on this team.
He does, and I love that Chief was riding him. I was curious, so I looked at the minutes. He played over 15 minutes, but I noticed him like every other shift there late in the third period, which you love to see playing the hot hand. Calvin writes in, Domi is a Leaf. He can stay here as long as he wants, in my opinion. Hilarious. A week ago, everybody wanted to trade the guy, has one sick game. All of a sudden, we're aboard. But again, I've been consistent, positive. I love Max Domi. I think he'll bring a lot to this team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I know it's been a difficult year, but we talked about this with Morgan Riley a couple years ago. Remember how bad his regular season was in the playoffs against Tampa and Florida? He was great. And Domi's the guy that can do exactly that, man. Just grab that and put it in a jar, what we saw last night, and just, be consistent and move that forward. I thought he was awesome, man. Like, probably Toronto's best player last night.
And everyone adopt that to a degree, right? To a degree. Pick your spots. You can finish a guy open ice. Do it. There's so many times they just swoop by. I don't want to get
I
out
know.
of screw position. You put a guy on his ass and make 20,000 people go bananas and make them go, oh, God, that was kind of embarrassing. Knock them down a peg or two. Put them on their heels. Put them on their ass. It adds up. Like, why do you think the Florida Panthers have had such success? Because they it's a mentality on how they play. They lead the charge. They're on their toes. They'll hit you, they'll scrap you, they'll bury on you, they'll chirp you, they'll get in your goalie's face, they'll scrum. They don't care. They're just going forward with blinders on. It is a mentality and identity. I love to see it when a guy in a Maple Leaf uniform is doing just that, and it's effective. And you saw, when you're doing that kind of shit, you're in the game, and other things happen, like what happened to Max Domi last night. I 100% agree. He was probably the best player on the ice, had the most effective shifts out there, and was rewarded with more minutes. The best thing a coach can have is, I don't know who to put out right now because everyone's buzzing. That's what you need, not, I wonder if I should shake the lines up again because I know like it's fucking middle of March. Let's dissect what lines we should have. Like, I'm so tired of it, man. Find something. Find a goddamn identity. Come together with your line mates. Make each other better. Have each other feed off of each other and move forward every goddamn shift. More, like a wave. And just have that coach just rattle off whoever's going, and he can't even take his pick because everyone's always going. It's what you're looking for, but it just doesn't seem to be what this team is headed towards. Every time you think they take a step forward, they just take another one back. And it's hard for the fans to get on board with what they've seen. I get it. But they are at the top of their division. They have rattled off a lot of points. I get it. But I'm telling you, when the biggest game is on their plate, they just don't seem to be able to serve it up. And I'm getting a little tired of it. I was pissed off last night. There's no question.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was the same type of shit. Like, I tend to agree. I thought Nylander had a decent game, par for the course come the playoffs. John Tavares, noticeable things. I thought Marner was okay by his standards. I didn't think Matthews was good enough. Like, we touched on that already, but you've got to be way better. Like, for example, correlation, not even there. Sam Bennett. Like, I watched Sam Bennett, and I won't lie, I'm watching that game in the press box, just like salivating and thinking, just wondering what he would look like in the blue and white, because he was that instrumental on that hockey game. Like, dude, he had 2 massive goals, some big hits, some skirmishes, like everything we're looking for from this team. Drag you into the fight mentality. Sam Bennett brings it to the table on a nightly basis. It's not just Toronto. We talked about the other night with Boston too. Like, he drags Zadorov into a scrap.
I know, man. He's a Florida Panther, no doubt. People are talking about getting him next year. Well, if he wasn't looking for the bag, he would have already signed with Florida, you would think. So he's going to go and see what his value is and probably get paid. If you're keeping Mitch Marner, that's what it is. If you pay 3 guys, tens of millions of dollars a year, you're not going to have any room for a Sam Bennett, just plain and simple. So how do you want to build your team? We have built it for 9 years now around 3 players, call it 4. It just doesn't seem like a formula that wins. They get railroaded by every team that's built a little differently, a little bit more, on the heavy side of things, a little more spread out with gamers. We get these superstar guys that are real fancy and love time and space and love fancy drop passes and stuff. And it's kind of, as much as that can work and look really awesome and say, God, is that guy talented? There's no question about it. But if you build a team with that kind of as their identity, is there enough to go around elsewhere? And I just there's not enough to go around as far as talent, and there's not enough to go around as far as money. And I don't know. We're right at the cusp of having the same team for 8 more years, which is
It's scary as shit, eh?
yeah, it is. And it's no knock to any individual player. They're all good players and they all have their place, but just the way it's constructed is scary, man. Last night was a night for you to come out. You knew it was a playoff game. You were mentally ready. You weren't beat up. You weren't banged up. You weren't coming off the craziest schedule. You had time to prep and be in it mentally. And you even started well. And their team wasn't even close to fully form and intact. Yours was. You got Tanev back. You have Stoli in. Still can't get it done. It's not a good sign.
Amo Delatrate said, Max Domi as a dog reminds me a lot of Jay in his prime. I guess Amo saw you in the press box quite a bit back in the day.
Amo didn't watch me play. Thanks, Amo.
You think he had any clue when he joined this company who the hell you were?
I would doubt it. Maybe
He did. We all remembered you. If there's players we remember in this market, it's the guys who put their bodies and their lives on the line and scrap on a nightly basis and just shit kick and throw their weight around. Like, those are the guys you remember, dude. Like, even watching that fight last night brought back memories of my childhood watching Ty throw them. Like, I had that Ty feel watching Max throw them last night.
Man, it's nice to see a Maple Leaf just dominate someone, especially a Florida Panther, right?
I know.
He came at him, gave him a shot. And he's like, you want it, and just, oh God, the guy falls down as soon as they make contact and then just gets his lunch fed to him afterwards. I love that stuff. I love burying a guy to start it. Anyone that's playing like just that clearly is unloading the tank and up for anything and just leaning forward on your toes, man. It's a mentality that I just salivate over, and I don't see it enough with this group. It's better than it has been in the past, but I kind of thought Craig Berube was going to demand everyone just go full tits out. And I don't know. I think maybe coaching this day and age, you can't really demand that anymore. The guys will shut it down and start to go into their little pods and hang their heads and go into a shell. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. I'm probably thinking of a different era where you could demand that of players and get it. But again, not all is lost. It's a disappointing game. It's the morning after. We're clearly behind the 8 ball to Florida
take a pill,
now.
Rosie.
Huh?
Take a pill. It's the morning after.
I know. I need it. It's disappointing. It's not the end of the world. Crazy things can happen. Like you mentioned, like you'd rather play, like playing Tampa isn't the worst thing in the world if that's how it were to shake out, right? I really want this division, but
yeah,
I mean, it's just, again, it's just you need that was a measuring stick game that you fell short on. That's just why it's disappointing.
By the way, there's now a deep dive in the TLN group chat, your Hockey DB page. Quite a lot of penalty minutes, 114 with the Marlies in 10-11, 172 in 09-10. That's like a fight per game, I think. And you had 1 goal, 1 assist in 09-10, 1 goal, 2 assists in 2010, 2011, and 5.5 career NHL goals to your name, right?
Why are we talking about my DB right now? I'm confused. 275.
Because you got compared to a Bulldog like Max Domi, who scrapped last night.
Yeah. Well, I think that one year, Marlies combined with when I got traded here, I don't even know what we're looking at.
Did you get a video tribute when you came back?
Huh?
Did you get a video tribute when you came back?
No, I got screw all, and I fought Orzi and scored the game winner. 3rd star. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, he stuck it to them. The suits in the crowd, like, screw that guy.
They were booing. They were booing when I did my little 3rd star laugh.
You did a twirl. You're the guy. I noticed they never do that anymore. You know, they do the 3 stars after the game. Like, the road guys don't even come out anymore. Like, you're the guy who did the twirl, right?
Yeah, like a quick one. But I was like, I'm going to go a little deeper than most here and give her the old. And I was getting booed. I was like, geez, man, that hurts.
That's awesome. We got to get video on that. At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. So I was trying to figure out, because I know you guys were giving it to me a bit last night in the group chat, like why I don't care or why these games don't hurt as much as they should. And I came back to the same point, and I brought this up earlier on in the season. It brings me solace in knowing that if it doesn't work this spring, Rosie, there will be seismic changes. And that's why I feel better with this not potentially working. Because I tend to agree with everything you're saying. A lot of what we saw last night is the same garbage that we see in the Stanley Cup playoffs, a very perimeter game from the likes of Marner and Matthews, and they just didn't have that extra, final shot, the final blow, if you will, to the big dog Florida Panthers, and they couldn't get that save. You combo that together, you lose another hockey game. They're missing half their team, and they still win that hockey game. They found a way. But it sort of excites me or intrigues me, maybe is the better word, to know that if this doesn't work, there will be seismic change. And two big names of the core four are slated to become UFAs on July 1.
Yeah, I know it's such an anomaly because like a guy like Marner, like what he's done since Four Nations and in the Four Nations, it's just like that in itself, if you compartmentalize his situation, you're going, how on earth could you let that player go? As soon as he's gone, you're wanting someone just like him right back. But you already have a Willie and you already have an Austin and you have already had the Mitch for a long time. And at the end of the day, for a city that's starving for more, to do the same thing over again. I mean, we had this conversation in the summertime and in the fall, and it's why I think it's too dangerous to extend Mitch Marner. And it's not even against Mitch Marner personally. It's just everyone else is locked up, and he's kind of that one dude. And Tavares as well. He's having like almost a career year. He's got like 30 goals and he scored last night. And it's like, well, why are you walking away from him? You can get him for so much cheaper. And it's just this both two sides to the coin, and not one of them is perfect. And every time they show everything, they win Hart trophies and they win Rocket Richards and they do this fancy stuff and they come up big and then, but when the going gets hard and when it's time to get the good stuff done, they have over and over and over and over again disappointed. And at some point in time, you have to step back and say, why? Well, why have they done it? Why is this team good and why is that team not? And I mean, the only thing that's consistent is that core group of players. If they don't get it done, if they get bounced in the first round again, I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to justify, right? Especially if it's a game like last night where the guys that need to be difference makers aren't. Then it's going to be pretty easy, I think.
I couldn't agree more. And I know people are pushing back on the seismic change because John Tavares is 35, but I'm talking about the cap hit, the cap space. Like, to me, what represents change in the offseason, I don't want to jump far too ahead. I still believe in this team, by the way, weirdly. But Marner's a UFA, Tavares is a UFA, Brendan Shanahan is a UFA. Like, those are three big-time monster moves that are available to be made if you want them to be made. So I think that's what sort of gets me going a bit, is knowing that, hey, if we see this same rodeo in the playoffs again, we are going to see a much different looking team on the ice and off the ice. And that gives me a bit of positivity. But again, and this is why I don't really care who they play in the playoffs. We talked about this so often too. I think the Leafs, and again, I said this on the show the other day, like, they're good enough to beat anybody in this league. It does not matter who they play. I know you want a favorable opponent. Is there a favorable opponent right now? Columbus plays them strong. Ottawa plays them strong. Boston plays them strong. I worry more about the Leafs as a team looking at themselves in the mirror than I do their opponent. Like, I don't care if it's Florida, Tampa, like, they're capable. They're fully capable. It's not one of those things where I see the opponent, I'm like, just way better. There's no shot. Everything you just said is bang on. I know a lot of the folks in the chat agree. They have Matthews. They have Marner. They have Nylander. An embarrassment of riches. There are teams in this league who would die to have one of these guys. We have three absolute studs, and we have JT, who's still a pretty good player, has 27 tucks this season.
Yeah, the thing with them is can you give me your best when it matters? And across the board, the answer is no. Have you done it? Have I given you opportunity to do it? Yes. Have you done special things and shown that you're capable to earn your contracts? Yeah, you have. But like that caveat, and it's the only one that matters, is when it matters the most, can you play your best? And the pattern is no. The pattern is they don't. I just think of the playoffs, and it's a game like last night going, oh, come on. Like, we even started on time and we got some depth scoring and we started with a bang with a big hit and a big scrap and their barn's rocking. And you still like, can you give me your best hockey when it matters? And they give us their best hockey in November and in February. it's just not enough anymore. And, if they don't have Mitch Marner, like, I know they're willing to walk away from him or they wouldn't have exercised some of their options during the trade deadline. And if he walks to free agency, which is, I get it, man. You only have your prime for so long. You want to see what you're worth. You want to see what people are think of you, right? What kind of options do I have? Who wants me? Where do I fit? And start to at least spitball that in your own mind with your agent. You're totally free to do that. And he's going to do that, I believe. Well, someone's going to throw a massive amount of money at him, someone who needs him, and he's probably going to sign with them. And he's going to go there, and they're going to have a bunch of other pieces in place, but they need a Mitch Marner. We already have like two more, you know what I mean? I know they're different style of players, but we already have those superstars. He's going to go somewhere and have a role, and he's going to have a ton of success. And there's going to be a million people on Twitter that are so pissed off, and that how could you possibly let him walk? But I know how you can. It's because you have a whole bunch of the same players that are really good at something, but they don't have the it factor and they don't show up in the big games. And we have given them time and time. Like, how many chances do you need? Do you think it's unfair if they let Mitch walk? Is that unfair? Like, they didn't give him a crack? Bullshit. It's just, you can only watch the same movie so many times, man. And I believe Tree's ready to walk away. It's a huge series for them, a huge season, postseason. And last night, it was the first time we're on the schedule. I'm like, oh my God, I want to see what they have. I want them to prove this team is different. And I thought they would. And I thought this table was set for them to do it. With Tanev coming back, with them missing a lot of their team, I thought the table was totally set for them to do it, especially after the start they had. Oh, baby. No, found a way to lose. Found a way for the ones that you needed to just not be there. It's tiresome, man. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but that's all there is to say.
The Mitch Marner to Boston rumors have started, by the way. I don't know if you've heard those the last couple days. I went on What Chaos the other day, and they asked me how I would feel if Mitch Marner signed with Boston. I said, take him. I'd feel better because we'd have cap space. I'm like, how do you want me to answer? Yeah, it would suck to lose Mitch Marner. It would be terrible, but I do think it's time for change if they can't do something this spring.
And there's plenty of time to talk about that, man.
Yeah, there is.
They're good.
We got a Snapchat here. Or we got a Snapchat. We got a super chat. You ready for this? Snapchat. In support of Sick Kids, Leaf Nation 67 sends us this question. Can McMahon fill the void next year with Mitch gone, Rosie? Where's Bobby? He's got 11 straight games without a goal now for McMahon. Yeah,
one of the problems with this team is just too many players going away and hibernating for extended periods of time. I mean, their new captain has been doing it for quite some time. He got such a pass for a long time throughout the season. I didn't want to say anything about him kind of in the fall because I'm like, well, he's kind of untouchable after what he did last year. And then the whole injury thing, and you just left him alone. But, it's the middle of March here. It's like, where are you? Saving it for playoffs? That's such a load of horse shit. That is such garbage. You are an athlete. You have your capabilities. A game like last night, are you telling me he could have done some things but didn't because it wasn't the playoffs and I'm saving it for the playoffs? That's such a load of garbage. Don't buy it whatsoever. And Bobby McMahon's been gone for a long time. Domi has been absent all year long until he exploded last night. You need that depth. I'm waiting for this group to all kind of have it together. And not one time in 3 years that we've been doing this show has this group all had it at the same time. Yeah, they're talented enough for Nylander to go and pop off and get 2-1 and win the game. And yeah, they have good players here and there. And McMahon has popped off before, and Domi can have a night like that last night. But have they ever just come in at the right times or any time at all and all had it together? I don't know if it's the lineup shaken or if they just don't have the chem together or what it is, but I'm still getting impatiently watching them try to put it all together because I've yet to see it. And yeah, Bobby McMahon, can we notice you out there, dude? Can we notice you? Can we notice you? And can we notice Domi beside you? And can we notice Austin popping up? Like, if you have on paper, you look great, but they have yet to put together this whole team firing on all cylinders.
X though writes in, I can get a Rosehill autograph card on eBay for $10. Might pull the trigger. That's a waste of $10 in my opinion.
I kind of agree. Oh,
that's
dear.
Tough.
10.
Rosie, just breathe.
I'm not snapping. I'm just fucking can't sit there in the springtime and watch the same perimeter, skating in mud, time ticks down. That's it, folks. Another one. I just can't do that again. And I know I haven't even been following this team religiously for decades like some people have. It's where the negativity comes from. And I still like the team. I still think they're better than last year. I'm just a little sour from last night. I will recover. Don't worry. Woosa.
I'm going to save a bunch of clips from this show and then circle back on April 3rd because the Maple Leafs host the Florida Panthers April 2nd, and we'll see how you feel then.
I hope I feel better.
But I have a great idea. I'm going to fly you in from Calgary tonight, and we're going to go down to Greta Bar YYZ, a fantastic place to watch a game and chill out. Great street food, great arcade games, and we're just going to take a load off this weekend. We're going to chill out. We're going to have some green beers because St. Patty's is coming, and we're just going to chill, man. There's what, 17 games remaining in the regular season here?
Am I that scorched earth or what? Like,
you're close enough, man. I think so if I'm ranking the TLN team, producer Vic 1, I'm going to go with Filatov, Zach Phillips, a 1A, and then you're a 2. And then I'm at 16. So
that's fine. That's where I should be. I don't mind it. It is what it is, man.
I get it.
Too much of the same. Too much. It's too reminiscent of what we've seen before. It's the timing of it, the execution of it, the finish is too reminiscent of what we've seen. So
yeah.
Like I look on Twitter this morning, everyone, what should the lines be? And should we move this guy here? And what do you think about that? I'm like, it's the middle of March. Are any other championship caliber teams literally dissecting like 9 different forwards and what the combination should be? It's pathetic, man. Like you should know by now. You should have had a track laid down where there's enough to lean back on and say, we know who we are. They don't have a clue right now. Pisses me off. Yeah, I'm done being negative.
Lisa Grinton asks, who's a better golfer, Nick or Rosie? It's Rosie. I haven't golfed in 10 years. I go to golf tournaments. I ride around in the cart, get absolutely gunned. So I don't actually golf.
Golf has been my passion for like 15 years. So I love golf.
I know. Yeah, it's fair. Got another super chat here. Michael, thank you so much. In support of sick kids. To be a successful player in playoffs, you need to have one skills, 2 clutch, 3 grit. Unfortunately, 16, 88, 34 only have skills, not clutch, no grit. He called grit grid, but grit with a T.
I would like to see a little more grit out of those guys. I would like to see a little more clutch. No doubt about it. They are very skilled. It's what is that? How do you get it? Who has it and who doesn't and why? It's not something you can put on paper, man. Yeah. You could discuss it and argue it, but it's not a tangible thing. You just kind of have it or you don't. And I hope to hell that these guys find it and all of a sudden have it. But I've watched a lot of hockey that's important games where they don't. So it's it's why I am what I am right now.
And it's, what's a really good example, and I was thinking even watching the game last night, like prior to going to Florida, Oliver Ekman-Larsson was pretty much known as a soft player. He went to Florida, and I don't know what transpired. Maybe it's the Paul Maurice effect. Maybe it's adopting the DNA of that team, but he plays with snarl. And that's all we're asking for from the big boys. Like anybody's capable. Like OEL was like a number 1 D back in the day, dude. He was an all-star defenseman. He was a point producer, and he found a way to make a difference physically. And that's all we're asking for. Like I'm not asking for Matthews to drop the gloves and Marner and Nylander. Just have a bit of reserve, have a bit of pushback. And I didn't see enough of that last night either.
Well, even Sam Bennett, when he was in Calgary, he wasn't this guy. Yeah. He wasn't this guy. You go there and you adopt a mentality. I mean, it's not like they call it a copycat league. Well, then copycat. The Florida Panthers, they are heads and shoulders the best team the last handful of years. And they do things very obviously a certain way, and everyone adopts it, and everyone's together, and we're not. We have some guys that disappear for months, some guys that kind of just refuse to show up when it matters, some guys that are ghosts, some guys that refuse to play the way that they're teaching and preaching. They've kind of got that out of their game at least. Remember the dog in it and the droppy, loopy, shooty perimeter bullshit. That's why they're better. That's why I believe in them now more than I have in the past this season, is because they've kind of adopted more of a disciplined mentality as far as how they play, which is good. But like you say, guys can adopt a mentality like an OEL and a Sam Bennett and adopt the right one. These guys I just don't know what's going on in the room. What does Austin think this morning? What is he thinking? Is he fine with it? Does he Is he kind of whatever? Like he doesn't. I don't really want. I don't know. Maybe I'll. I don't know. What does he think? I have no fucking clue. The blank look on his face and his. I just don't know what to think. I would just like him to just show that I am not accepting this. I am pissed off. Watch and see. Get on my back. Let's go. I'm about to take this team where it needs to go. I just don't see that, and that's what kind of frustrates you because there's so much passion behind this team. You'd like to see it out of the guys themselves.
You know what I thought was interesting? The captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't talk to the media after the game last night. Isn't that interesting? I don't know what happened. They sent out 5 guys, Nylander, Tavares, Stolarz, Domi. I'm missing one, but it was Tavares. I said Tavares, but no Matthews, which I thought was, I don't know how it works, but I think that's probably the one guy you want to hear from after another loss to Florida is the captain, right?
Well, you were there. Where was he? Did he sneak out of there?
I don't know.
Hit the showies? I don't know. Maybe it's a good sign. Maybe he's pissed off.
Maybe.
I don't, like I said, I would just, interviews I could give a shit about. I want to see it out there on the ice. Show me that passion that the whole city and everyone who cares about that team, show that you care. You have the ability. You have the ability to be a difference maker in that game. And it's like you just kind of, it's like you were kind of at 70%. And that's what pisses people off.
Yeah. Tanev was the last guy who came out. There was 5 guys. It's usually like 3 or 4, but they sent out 5, but no Matthews. I just thought about that.
Probably because Matthews walked by the PR guy and said, I'm not doing shit. And he hit the showers or the table or whatever. And they're like, uh-oh, we better fill it up with somebody.
Does that happen?
A bunch of other guys. Oh, yeah, you can just walk by. And then if it's a problem, your PR guy will talk to the GM or the coach and they'll talk to you and say, but lots of times guys don't want to have an interview after. They don't want to answer the same questions. They're sick and tired of the mics in their faces. They don't have anything interesting to say. They got shit to do and they go do it and they say, leave me alone. You're allowed to do that. I mean, you're having a bad day. Fine. I don't care. Unless it becomes like a pattern where you're hiding from it. But I don't know. In my mind, I look at it and I say, good. I hope he's pissed straight off. I hope it's unacceptable to him and he won't let it happen again. That's all you can hope.
All you could do is look forward to the Battle of Ontario Saturday and hopefully a better effort for Matthews and company. We got Take It or Leaf It to play, but first the Firehouse read here, Rosie. At the official sub of the Toronto Maple Leafs, check out Firehouse Subs for a limited edition souvenir cup that is perfect for game day celebrations. Available in select restaurants across Ontario, fans can collect this team-inspired souvenir cup with the purchase of any sub combo while supplies last. Be sure to check out the Brisket Hat Trick. It's a Canada-exclusive menu item. This hot and hearty sub is piled high with smoked turkey breasts, Virginia honey ham, and beef brisket. It is topped off with sweet and tangy slaw, barbecue sauce, and mayo and served on a toasted sub roll. Head to your local Firehouse Subs to grab your limited edition Toronto Maple Leafs souvenir cup today. You ready for Take It or Leaf It, Rosie? We haven't played in a while here.
I guess so. I haven't looked at them yet, so I'm gonna
bring the juice here, baby. Let's go. We got 17 left in the season. They're gonna be okay.
I'm going in blind. Hit me.
Take it or leave it. You're gonna hate this one. Sure. Florida will go further than Toronto in the playoffs. Take it or leave it. Who's writing these things?
According to last night, yes. If you want to change the script, boys, it's in your hands.
So, Rosie, an official take it. I'm going to go with leave it. I got to believe.
Yeah, Nikki!
I think this team's different.
Man himself. I love it.
I think this team's different.
When you're doing that.
No, I like that. I think this team's different. I'm a big Berube guy. I believe in the crease, Stolarz, or if it's Wool. Like last year entering the playoffs, I was talking last night. I still remember vividly the Trent Frederick goal on the wing. Like, why did that go in? But it was Ilya Samsonov. Even if it's not Stolarz, I feel good in Joseph Woll. The back end has been solidified. I thought Carlo was much better last night. Tanev, having him back, look rusty. Had missed 6 games. Like, I'm not making excuses. They lost to Florida. But there are reasons for me to feel optimistic. And at some point in time, you would have to think the Florida Panthers are going to hit a wall. You just have to.
Well, those are reminders of why there is more belief behind this team than there has been in the last couple of years. And thank you for the reminder. I like that.
Zach Phillips writes in, I believe in all those things too. I don't believe in 34 or 16. Okay, we move on. Take it or leave it. Calle Jarnkrok will start the Stanley Cup playoffs in the top 6. Take it or leave it.
Calle Jarnkrok. No, I kind of like him. I kind of like him in the bottom 6. I think he's going to spread the depth out a little bit, and I think he has that responsibility, leadership, veteranness, and you surround him with some guys that can round out your bottom 6. Leaf it.
I'm going to leave it too, because you know who's going to be in the top 6 that nobody's talking about? I saw a stall last night. Max Pacioretty.
Yeah.
He's gonna suddenly appear. I'm calling it right now, man. He is going to suddenly appear, emerge, maybe around the 10-game mark, and he'll be there for game 1, in my opinion. I think he'll be with Nylander and Tavares.
I hope they make it hard on the powers that be by everyone vying for different spots higher in the lineup, and you have to make decisions because they're all playing so damn good and they're all worthy of it. That's a problem that you want to have.
By the way, we've mentioned this on the show, but I heard it's back spasms for Pacioretty. He's got a back issue going on. So an older guy, you're going to take a bit longer with Pacioretty. What's that?
How long has he been out? A long time. Like
2 weeks,
spasms are they last that long? That's weird, dude.
Yeah,
At least
2
it's not
weeks or
worse.
so. But you never know with an older age. I mean, you dealt with some back issues, right? It can linger.
Yeah, my back's hoored, not spasming. It's just weird to have spasms for like weeks on end, but it doesn't matter. I hope he gets sorted out, and this is the time of year where you do. I think he can be a factor, man. Coming in on PTO and kind of betting on himself. Right? He had no options, but taking the reins and showing that he can still play and change and adapt to what his new role might be at his point in his career. I think he can be a difference maker, and he's shown that he can be throughout the season and play with some of those boys.
I love John Gallagher writing, and he's day-to-day. And then Zach writing and Phillips, remember when he was going to play the Friday versus the Rangers, and 10 hours later he was on IR. Yes, I recall that. Last one, take it or leave it. Morgan Rielly and Brandon Carlo will remain together for the rest of the season. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I think that they very well will be partners for the season, and they'll probably be in the playoffs, very likely. I'm not saying they aren't good together. I think that they are going to exercise other things like they do. They're going to blend it up and mix things up just like they do with the forwards. I think they'll exercise a couple other options just to see and say they did and know what's what. But I do think they are the pair that is going to be that, but I don't think they'll stay together all year long if we're going to go that route. So leave it.
I'm going to take it. By process of elimination, it has to be Carlo and Rielly playing together. You don't want to screw anything else up. I will add, I thought Simone Benoit was great last night, dude. He is deceptively fast. Do you remember that play in the third period where he grabbed the puck and went through the neutral zone and blew up that Panther, like offensively? Blow up? I thought it was great. I think he's a guy who you need that type of player in the playoffs. And right now I'm inching towards wanting Benoit in there. But I think Carlo and Rielly are going to stick. I thought they were way better last night to start.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I agree with you. I just say for the remainder of the season, I think there'll be a game where they do split at some point. But I like Benoit too. And when he's the odd man out and gets scratched, I don't like it. I like his confidence level. Sometimes even last night, he kind of was just half a step late to realizing where the play was going to and the man that was wide open. That's any D man. And not everyone is a Tanev or a star defenseman, but I like his abilities. I like his snarl. I like his confidence, and I like when he's in the lineup.
KPG writes in, Benoit is Superman. Domi looks like the Thing. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, but a really solid effort from Domi and Benoit in that loss to the Florida Panthers. Before we wrap here, Rosie, Battle of Ontario, round 3. The Sens have had Toronto's number, man. They've won 4 in a row and 5 of 6 against the Maple Leafs. Ottawa's red hot coming into this game. They've won 5 in a row and 6 of 7. They're 6-0-1 in the month of March. Did you catch that save by Linus Ullmark last night? My word, what a save.
Oh, yeah, ridiculous, man. Very ridiculous. If he heats up, which he is look out. That's why they got that guy. He is a recent Vezina winner. His good is ridiculous. He can completely goalie a team, and he's done it before. So look out. And to your point about the standings and whatnot, say they get the division and have to face them in the first round. If they get the wild card, that's very possible. That could be a tough matchup too. It's just seeing that division and those Florida teams come up, and it's just like, God damn it, man. Is this more of the same? When you kind of thought all year long they were kind of in the driver's seat and you think the other teams are tailing off. But like you say, deeper down the depths, it doesn't get a whole lot easier. A team like Ottawa finds their stride, and it's the NHL, man. And it's going to be the playoffs, and you're going to have to bring your best regardless of who you're playing. That is definitely a fair point.
Tell you what, there's so much in the air right now. Did you realize the Ottawa Senators are 6 points back of the Maple Leafs? They're 4 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Are you kidding me? That's nuts, man. How does that, like, you just forget, or like how?
I just mentioned the numbers. They're 6-0-1 in the last 7. They've just gained ground. The Leafs have lost some games here.
I know they definitely. It's crazy what, over the course of 10 games that goes by pretty fast in a couple of weeks, and if one kind of only gets 3-4 points and the other one gets 9, it's a difference maker. You leapfrog a bunch of teams, all of a sudden you're sitting looking at that logo where you're not used to doing it. So hats off to them. They're doing well. Leafs got to respond, and there's lots of hockey left to be played.
Mark my words, the Leafs will go on a heater in the next. By the time this regular season's done, they'll be on an elite heater, and people will be surrounding this team again. I'm telling you right now.
Ooh,
2 more questions, then we're wrapping. Stolars or Wall tomorrow?
I haven't looked at the full schedule, but you got to.
They play Monday home to Calgary, Wednesday home to Colorado, Thursday at the New York Rangers.
I wouldn't mind.
Next Saturday, they're in Nashville next Saturday.
Nash Vegas. I wouldn't mind seeing Stoli just kind of again to kind of solidify, hey, it's your crease, and see if he can have a sick performance on the Saturday night against kind of a Battle of Ontario rival team that's hot. Try to get that W. I don't know if that's going to make Wool kind of sink back. I imagine they're going to go with Wool, though. I don't mind either one. I can see reasons for both. I feel like they're going to go with Wool, though.
Yeah, because just mapping it out, if you go Stoli, you go Wall Monday. You know what? I think you go Stolars. You go Stolars Saturday. You go Woolsey on Monday. You go back to Stolars. You want your best goalie against Colorado. Then you go back to Wool against the Rangers. Back to back.
Makey sensey. Yeah. Either one of them's capable. In my mind, Stoli is the number one, and we need to get him kind of the more reps and the more looks that he has, the more opportunity there is for him to just be dynamic like he has been almost all year long. I want him in that mind frame.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. To get in on the game, must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca as we set up the Battle of Ontario on Saturday. The Ottawa Senators in town. What is the one bet I tell you every time they play the Sens? Please remember this time.
Claude Giroux, anytime point. Yeah.
55 points in 51 career games against the Maple Leafs for Claude Giroux, the former captain of the Philadelphia Flyers.
That's egregious. Yeah, you could get on him, no question. I knew that was going to be your bet. I'm just going out of pure hope and faith. I'm putting Austin Matthews to get on the board. I need this train to start rolling, man.
That's exactly where I was headed next. I will dump my account maybe on Austin Matthews. You need a response. You think we're being hard on the captain today? Just wait for the rest of the Toronto media shows later on today. I think he's going to get it today, and I think we're looking for a response tomorrow from Matthews.
You're going to get it, Aussie boy. Yeah, well.
Does he care, though? That's the question.
That's another question that I don't know the answer to. Whether he cares or not, of course he cares. Yeah. I hope he finds it. Saturday night's a good time to do it.
It's a long season, man, and we talked about this when he got the C. Everybody wanted Matthews to get the C. The pressure that comes along with the position. I mean, I don't know if it's a hindrance or not, but it's kind of coincidental that John Tavares is having the season he's having, right? Like, it's pretty damn funny to me. It's crazy.
I don't know. The C, yeah, maybe. I don't know. He doesn't seem to love the spotlight and being the dude, but you're that good and you had a season like last, of course, they're going to, I don't know. Is that why he's stepping back, and that is John having the weight off his shoulder while he's having a great year? I don't know about that, but it does line up and make sense for a story for someone to run with.
You're right. And again, I'm still thinking back to the Amazon Prime in the playoffs last year, and I'm still trying to figure out what the hell was going on with Nylander, Matthews. Why were they forced to miss games? But we'll never have true answers to any of that, will we?
A headache, bro.
I know Nylander because we broke that on our show, the migraines. But Matthews, we never just didn't play. It's weird.
Any other examples of that? Like,
No, there is no other examples of that.
any sport in the world get beat out and we're just not gonna talk about it. Just don't mention that. Forget about it. It's very frustrating, man. That's kind of the time where Austin was untouchable, man. You couldn't say anything about him. That's why to start the season, I'm like, what the hell's going on with this guy? Couldn't say anything about it because you'll get attacked because it's Austin Matthews. But you only have so much track of that, man. He's got to get it going and figure out whatever the hell's going on with him. His shot is non-existent anymore. Again, Saturday night's a good time to turn around.
It's like that movie Flubber. Did you ever watch that Robin Williams movie Flubber?
I know it, but I never watched it.
Like I think the premise of the movie was when this Flubber item, he had his moxie when he didn't. Maybe it's a bad example, but Austin Powers, another prime example
of having Flubber.
No, you know Austin Matthews, the mojo.
Oh,
you ever watch, or Austin Powers? Excuse me.
Powers, yeah, he's lost his mojo, man. He had mojo out of
Exactly
his ears last year, and now he's lost his mojo, baby. So he's got to get it back.
Like last year, it's just weird, man. He was swinging D last year. Like I don't know another way to put it. You know, when you just walk and you got confidence and you look at that player and you're like, shit, I'm not stopping him. Like that's the mentality I get when I watch Nathan McKinnon play hockey. I just
on a mission.
It's like I just know it's going to be a tough night. And watching Matthews lately, he's been really passive. Even he had an opportunity last night. I don't know if it rolled out. Like he had a semi breakaway and like he is the best sniper in the world. And he tried to do this move and it rolled up a stick and went over the goalie. I'm like, shoot the puck, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's every time he gets an opportunity, he double clutches it or whiffs it or puts it across the crossbar and wraps the glass with it, man. It's frustrating. A lot of times the game's kind of on his stick and could be a major difference maker. And we're used to seeing that go in. It's not going in. So that, in my mind, that's numero uno on things that need to get better is that man's play.
Silver lining, he did score 69 times last year. So we all know he has it in him. And for my money, he's still the best goal scorer on the planet. So there is a bit of positivity to wrap up the week. I know Michael sent us a super chat. There it is. Excuse me. I was trying to get it in support of Sick Kids. For helping the kids bet all of the super chat money you guys received this season and bet them all Leafs losing in the first round. So Michael, thank you so much for the super chat. That's going to do it for this week.
Rude,
Rosie.
Michael. Rude.
You're not going to be with us on Monday. You're back in the mix Tuesday, right?
Correct.
I've booked a favorite on our show. Mike Commodore is going to drop by on Tuesday.
Nice.
Yeah,
looking forward to it after a big weekend. It'll be a nice.
Hutsy Bobutsy. Also, Carter Hutton was down on the Maple Leafs last night. I'm surrounded by just negative folks, which is hilarious because I'm the negative dude on this podcast.
Maybe you've
Monday show. We're going to break down this game against Ottawa. We're going to look forward to the game against Calgary and just a busy week in general for the Leafs Nation. As you guys know, we're headed off to Nashville. So we'll talk on Tuesday, Rosie.
See you then. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.